Have you heard about the Hug Sleep Adult Swaddle and wondered if it's something for you? Or you heard about it and you thought, oh my gosh, what is this new thing they've come up with? If you said yes to either, this episode of Heard Online is for you. We're going to take a look at the latest invention supposedly treating insomnia, known as the sleep burrito. Welcome back. This is Heard Online, a series of investigative videos where we look at claims made about sleep on the World Wide Web to see if they are true or not. And the other day, my wife showed me an article from the New York Times. And to be honest with you, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I always think I've heard it all, I've seen it all, but people come up with new things all the time. And this is just like, what is this? So I really want to share some thoughts on this with you in this episode of Heard Online. I think, we can learn a lot from it. We always can. But if you actually are new to the channel and you truly wonder if this sleep burrito was for you, I want to say spend some time here because the answer to insomnia is really about understanding it, understanding why we have it rather than any type of device or gadget. So with that in mind, let us jump in and take a look at this. So this is from a kind of, I guess, section of the New York Times called the Wire Cutter, where they do reviews of the various products. And the title of this article from, I think it's from February 16th, is "The Hug Sleep Adult Swaddle Bundled Me Up Like a Burrito. It Didn't Improve My Sleep." And what I really loved about this was that it was a very honest title. Like there was nothing, there was nothing that's scary about this title. And it put it out right. It immediately said that it didn't help. So I think it was a very honest and nice title. But with that said, again, there's a lot we can learn from it. And so here is a picture of the author sleeping next to her dog or maybe not sleeping, which is probably just posing. But anyway, being inside this device. And now let's read together. So Annie says, I've never had an easy time drifting off to sleep. I typically spread out in bed, tossing and turning incessantly before finally conking out. I've tried weighted blankets, hoping they would help quell my restless shifting, but I would wake up at 3 a.m. frantic, sweating. Then I started seeing ads for Hug Sleep's Sleep Pod, a Shark Tank famous adult-size full-body swaddle designed to offer calming pressure without the heft of a weighted blanket. So if we pause there for a second, we understand the rationale behind the thinking here. Like, try to weight a blanket, but it was like too sweaty, so maybe this is going to be better, right? What we recognize in the intro here is very much the thought pattern and the experiences of someone who has some insomnia struggle, right? There is attention paid to like how long it takes to sleep, and there's effort there. There's somebody who's tried a lot of things, but also probably somebody who's not really gotten a proper education and understanding why this happens, right? So that's kind of like the immediate thoughts I had when I was reading this first section. So let's keep going. And he says it's built for anxious sleepers. So I wondered whether being encased in a snugly straitjacket would calm rather than provoke nighttime anxiety. Could being bundled up like a human burrito really be the solution to my sleep struggles? I was willing to give it a try. Babies benefit from swaddling. It doesn't seem so crazy to think that fidgety grown-ups would too. So for 3 weeks, I squeezed myself into Hug Sleep's sleep pod move each night to see whether it would lull me to sleep. And I think, Annie makes a great case again for why it's not so far-fetched to think about this. Like, babies like to be swaddled, like we like hugs, and, interestingly, the manufacturer, it really has understood one thing, which is that sleep is about, like, trouble sleeping is about anxiety. Ongoing sleep struggles is about anxiety. And so they say this is for anxious sleepers. And so this understanding is nice in a way, because it can lead to some understanding. But in a way, it's tricky when we say, like, okay, you're anxious about sleep, so do this, like have some practical measure, because then we're really not addressing anxiety in a helpful way. Anxiety is just a human emotion, and doing something to make it go away, in fact, amplifies it. Just like any other emotion, any emotion that we try to push away becomes amplified because it's like a communication from the brain. Like the brain wants to tell us something, and when we go like, I don't want to hear this, then the brain goes like, oh, you got to hear this. This is really important, right? On one hand, very interesting that the manufacturers recognize that insomnia is about anxiety, but unfortunately not, taking that to a helpful way, but just saying like, do this, right? But it's also very human. All of us humans, when we have any problem, we want an easy way to make that go away. Hence, we have devices like this. So yeah, with that said, let's keep reading together. And so what was her experience? She says that a hug sleep adult swaddle is essentially a snug compressive wrap made of stretchy polyester spandex blend. Comes in different sizes. Now, she said that it was like, she did like that it was not like the heavy blanket. It was more breathable, but there are parts here that makes me go like, how could this ever be helpful for anxiety, right? She says that it was like a vacuum sealer. She said, like a vacuum sealer, the sleep pod quickly compressed and enveloped my entire body. I immediately felt a bit suffocated at first, since you can't really move your arms or legs once you're inside. But once I get used to the sensation, the stretch and the breathability of them, she allowed me to settle in. Now, before maybe going to this next thing I want to talk about, I was just going to say, like, to me at least, the idea of being like kind of in a straitjacket doesn't seem as soothing as just like maybe a weighted blanket. You can think like, oh, that's feeling some heaviness, like that could be kind of nice. But being in a straitjacket, like, I don't know, everybody's different. And if you find that really helpful and nice, that's wonderful. But it made me think like about how there must be a real willingness to take gambles on sleep products in sort of the investor space. There's a real recognition of how many millions and millions of sleep people have trouble sleeping out there. So even something that to me sounds kind of far-fetched, is something that people are willing to invest money in, which is, again, it shows that there is a recognition of how big sleep struggles are, and that people are willing to bet on, pretty much anything, it seems like. And then she says, aided by my white noise machine, I successfully curbed my usual impulse to toss and turn. So we hear about the white noise machine. We heard about weighted blankets. Again, this sounds like insomnia to us. It sounds like somebody who's had insomnia here. And I think, what she said was essentially that it didn't really help out. And, it wasn't really something that made a difference for her, for Annie. But she left a nice review. And she, in that section where they talked about like the science behind it, she quoted some scientists saying that, if we have a light touch our body, kind of like an insect crawling our body, something that kind of makes us edgy and that's uncomfortable. But a kind of a deeper touch can be very soothing. And I think a lot of us probably can relate to that some pressure or some hug or something like that can feel kind of soothing. And that's nice. Nothing wrong with that. But the tricky part is, as we talked about a little bit before, is that when we have an anxiety about sleep and we do something to try to escape that anxiety, then even something that can be soothing turns unhelpful. It turns to like just provoke more anxiety, like tends to make us more and more stressed. So this was really pretty much all I had to say about this topic. But again, we can learn here that I think the fundamental thing we can learn here is that anything we do with intent to escape an emotion is tricky. Another thing we can learn here is that the industry is very willing to try like to come up with gadgets and things of that nature. And there seems to be still like very, very little understanding of how to meet, the millions and millions of people who struggle with sleep in a helpful way. And hopefully we can change that. So I'll conclude there. Thanks for being here and tuning into this episode of Heard Online, and look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye for now. They say that the best things in life are free. And I truly hope that this free video helps you rediscover something else that is free, which is peaceful sleep. If you do find our content here helpful, then please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share it with people, because the more views we get, The more people we reach, the more chances of changing lives we have. The thing is, leaving insomnia for good is actually so simple. You can and will rediscover a beautiful life at the end of this sleepless tunnel. So yes, please share it with people, hit the subscribe button, and you will be a big part of leading the change that we so want to see in the sleep universe. Thank you.